Eddie Kingston wishes that things worked out differently between CM Punk and AEW. While being interviewed by Adrian Hernandez over the weekend, Eddie Kingston was asked if it bothers him when the fan conversation about AEW is focused on locker room drama instead of what the wrestlers are doing in the ring. To which Eddie Kingston responded by saying, "People are going to talk about the drama because people love drama, man, but it's our job to go out there and produce to make them forget that, and I think we are, but if people still want to talk about it, that's on them, not me, you know?" Eddie Kingston and CM Punk worked a program in AEW that included a pay-per-view match at Full Gear 2021. During their rivalry, Eddie Kingston cut a promo saying that no one in the locker room wanted CM Punk in AEW. Adrian Hernandez asked Kingston if he feels bad that people online brought up that promo after CM Punk was fired by AEW, to which he said, "No, I'm doing my job, that's how I felt. I didn't know what anyone else in the locker room felt. I didn't care as how I felt. I didn't want him there. Me and Punk don't like each other, and that's fine. You're not going to like everybody you work with. Do I wish he was still in AEW and I wish it worked out differently? Yeah, because he helped the company. But other than that, I don't give an F what he does. You know what I mean? Because me and him never got along anyway. We don't have to be best friends to fight each other. It makes it better when we're not best friends. I don't wish him bad, but I don't wish him good either because I don't give an F." Following a backstage incident with Jack Perry at All In, CM Punk's AEW contract was terminated with cause on September 2nd. Eddie Kingston will be wrestling Kojima for the Strong Openweight Championship, which will be taking place at New Japan Pro Wrestling Lone Star Shootout in Texas on Friday, November 10th. Bryan Danielson wrestled on AEW Dynamite last week after sustaining a broken orbital bone 4 nights earlier on AEW Collision. Following his match on Dynamite, Danielson was seen clutching his face as medical personnel tended to him. AEW would then reveal on Saturday that Danielson's injury will require surgery and he'll likely be out for the remainder of the year. Claudio Castagnoli later cut a promo stating it was either an orange punch from Orange Cassidy or a Rainmaker from Kazuchika Okada that caused the injury. However, Sports Illustrated is reporting that Bryan Danielson was not injured on Dynamite last week, but rather sustained the broken orbital bone during his match against Andrade El Idolo on the October 21st episode of Collision. Danielson then teamed with Castagnoli against Cassidy and Okada on the October 25th show, but Castagnoli carried the bulk of the match for his team. Danielson's injury and the possibility it will prevent him from performing at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th was addressed by our own Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, to which he said it may be a touch and go if he had surgery for January 4th. Hopefully he can do it. Hopefully he can finish the next however many months it is. He didn't put a timeline on exactly when next year he's going to be done. In theory, his contract would be over in September. Obviously, Tony could extend it, but he's not going to be a dirty guy in this situation if Bryan wants to be finished. Bryan Danielson has spoken about his future in previous interviews and media scrums.
It's hard because I love that aspect of it so much, but I also love being with my family and going to shows takes you away from your family. And my daughter, my poor wife, I told her, like, hey, things might happen tonight. And she watched the show tonight with our kids. And our son, who's 3 years old, he's so great, but he's also a maniac. Our daughter, who's 6, she was terrified. Our son, Buddy, loved it. Like, oh yeah, it's like, hit daddy more. Like, this is great. But our daughter, she says to me things like this: "Daddy, you're gonna be done wrestling when I turn 7, right? Like, you're gonna be home every day when I turn 7." And that's really hard. That's really hard to turn down, right? Like, and I have been very fortunate to have this thing that I love, that I do, a huge part of my life for 23 plus years. But then, at one point it felt like, if not the most important thing, one of the most important things. But then new things become important things. And seeing my kids do the things that they love to do and being there for them, and also being there for my wife, because if any of you are parents or single parents, single parenting is hard, like regardless of what you do. And so all of that to say, I've got a lot of thinking to do. It's not like all of that to say is that's not a no. It's a how do I make this work while still keeping the meaningful things in my life, like the things that I find to be important, putting them as the top priority. So that's really, if you can figure that out, if you can figure out this little jigsaw puzzle or whatever it is of how to balance running a wrestling company with with 2 kids and being able to go to their soccer games or going to go to my daughter's dance recitals or going to any of that kind of stuff. I mean, those are just puzzles to figure out, or sometimes, the pieces don't fit, and then I've had a good run, and it might be time to move on. You know what I mean?
Now onto some news from WWE Raw. The Creed brothers made their WWE Raw debut on Monday. Julius and Brutus Creed defeated Chad Gable and Otis in an 11-minute match. Julius got Otis on his shoulders, and Brutus hit the Brutus ball for the pinfall win. WWE signed Julius Creed in October 2020, and Brutus was signed the following February. They debuted in NXT that August. The Creed brothers won the Dusty Rhodes Classic in early 2022, beating MSK in the finals. They then won the NXT Tag Team titles in June 2022 at In Your House before dropping them that September to Pretty Deadly at Worlds Collide. A match has been added to WWE Crown Jewel's kickoff show. It was announced on Monday's Raw that JD McDonough will face Sami Zayn during the kickoff pre-show that will take place 1 hour prior to the start of Saturday's Crown Jewel at noon Eastern Time. Monday saw Sami Zayn confront Rhea Ripley and the rest of the Judgment Day at the start of the show, saying he fought people like the Judgment Day his entire life. He promised he would fight them off until there were no more. The end of the show saw Sami Zayn lay out JD McDonough with a haluva kick after he and the rest of the Judgment Day got involved in the main event. Cody Rhodes gave JD McDonough 2 crossroads on top of the announce table to end the show. McDonough in recent months has been attempting to win the favor of the Judgment Day in order to become a full-fledged member of the group. On Monday's show, he lost to Seth Rollins despite Damian Priest coming to the ring and teasing that he would cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Seth Rollins confronted Damian Priest after the match, daring him to make a move.